Greetings, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Sudds-R-Us podcast, hosted by Irene
Hi,
and Ben
everyone.
Sudderth Jr. We thankful to God once again to be able to come for you on this beautiful fall day from our
Yes.
deck. Once again, we're going to try to come with you with no problems and no interruptions. So let us just apologize for the glare and for the interruptions on last week, the technical difficulties that we're experiencing. But we just want to thank you for hanging in there with us. We really appreciate it. We don't take it lightly.
Yes.
And we're just going to try to do better this time. So thank you so much for hanging in there with us as we continue to bring to you thought-provoking, mind-percolating, and creative content every single week around the concepts of the circle of love, where we focus on God, marriage, family, and life.
Mhm.
You know, there's a saying. When America catches a cold, black people get the flu. Well, in 2020 and 2021, when America caught coronavirus, black people died. Blacks in about every state with racial data available have higher contraction rates and higher death rates of COVID-19. So as we continue to focus on life this week, we just wanted to bring to you a topic on fall season. In fall season, why are blacks dying at a higher rate from COVID-19?
Yes, we are back. I wonder if y'all missed us. We didn't do a show on Saturday celebrating our 1 year podcasting anniversary. But we want to give a shout out, first of all, before we get started, to our son, Mr. Podcaster himself, also known as the Podfather, Ben Sudderth III. He features our podcast along with many other topics along the lines of sports, music, life, comedy, society, culture, and relationships. And we are all distributed under the archway of BS3 Radio. And you could follow us along with all of the podcasters on that great platform on all social media platforms. And if you're interested in podcasting and you need a little help in getting started or some coaching, he also offers coaching at bs3coaching.square.site. And that will be scrolling on our screen shortly. Sudds-R-Us podcast, we're so grateful and humbled to have you as our supporters each and every week. We thank you so much for viewing in, for chiming in, for sharing, for commenting. And we too are on all the social media platforms. We invite you to just go back and subscribe and review and like our shows. And hopefully you'll glean something from it that will bless your life. We hope and we pray that that's the case. If you have any questions for us and you'd like to just reach out to us, we are available at Sudds-R-Us. That's all one word at gmail.com. That's scrolling also on your screen. Thank you again and enjoy the show.
All right. So I always mention at the beginning of every show that we have thought-provoking, mind-percolating, and creative content.
Yes.
Well, this week has been a special show that we want to bring to you. And it's according to Rashawn Ray, who's a black man from Brookings Institute or Brookings EDU, that in Michigan, blacks make up 15% of the state population, but represent 35% of diagnoses of COVID-19. So this means that blacks in Michigan are 133% more likely to contract novel coronavirus relative to their percentage of the state, with a death rate hovering 4% in Michigan. Blacks are also overrepresented for deaths related to COVID-19, accounting for 40% of all deaths statewide. For comparison, whites represent 25% of people diagnosed with COVID-19 and 26% of deaths.
Wow.
But whites make up of over 75% of the state population. In Illinois, blacks represent about 16% of the state, but 30% of people diagnosed with COVID-19. In Chicago, Chi-Town, we like to call it, blacks represent 70% of people who have died from coronavirus. You hear me? 70%. In North Carolina, my home state, our home state.
Yes.
Black diagnoses were 38% of the positive COVID tests and only 22% of the population.
Wow.
In South Carolina, our mother's home state, blacks diagnoses were 36% of positive COVID tests and only 26% of the state population. New York showed the same pattern with a slightly smaller gap. Blacks are 74% more likely to contract coronavirus than their percentage of the state.
Wow.
Do y'all see a pattern here? Hopefully you can see what is happening. So a lot of our relatives living in North Carolina and South Carolina, as well as New York, because a lot of them immigrated out of the South to New York because of either Jim Crow or because of they trying to escape sharecropping. So this is personal to us because we've had family members who have died of the coronavirus.
Yes.
So what are we doing? We're always concerned and was concerned with the previous administration's response, how they downplayed the virus because of these statistics. They knew it was disproportionately killing African Americans, and they didn't seem to have a problem with that. So it looked like, now, don't have any proof, but it looked like they wanted it to spread, regardless of the other races that were also being affected. That's why they were promoting this herd immunity technique in order for it to spread. Now, the current administration is mandating vaccinations and wearing a mask to save lives, but one political party has a problem with that policy. Why is that, my brothers and sisters? With all of the available data, the reason to us is obvious. They prefer that Black people fall in this unprecedented season that we're living in. Because people of color are migrating to this country in droves from South America, now from Afghanistan, and now from Haiti. So they're nervous. They're nervous because they can't stop the ethnic groups and the people that are changing this country, because change is coming.
It is.
They can't stop it, but they're nervous because they can't stop it. You know, the indigenous people of this country were brown skinned. We call them Native Americans. And it's returning back to that dominance, regardless of what the white people who lied, manipulated, killed, and stole in this country and other countries, trying to create more power, regardless of what they try to do, even with the immigration policies in place today. Let me give you this scripture. Genesis 50, 20-21, it says, "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, and it is this day, to save much people alive. Now, therefore, fear ye not. I will nourish you and your little ones." And he comforted them and spake kindly unto them. You know, in Louisiana, blacks represent about 1/3 of the state population, but 70% of COVID-19 deaths. Most of these deaths are centered in New Orleans area. Blacks in Milwaukee County, Wisconsin represents roughly 45% of diagnoses and over 70% deaths related to COVID-19. Black men, such as retired police officer Leonard Wells and other police officers, are dying at a high rate. Wells was part of the first integrated police recruit class in the early 1970s in Milwaukee. Then he taught criminal justice courses at the University of Memphis. Famed University of Maryland professor artist David Triscale also died due to complications related to COVID-19.
Wow.
Driscoll's name stands prominently on the art museum near the center of campus. Some speculate that pre-existing health conditions are contributing to racial disparities of COVID-19. You know, during a White House coronavirus task force briefing, Dr. Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Disease since 1984, he stated, health disparities have always existed for the African American community. Coronavirus is shining a bright light on how unacceptable that is, because yet again, when you have a situation like coronavirus, they are suffering disproportionately. We will get over coronavirus, my brothers and sisters, but there will still be health disparities, which we really do need to address in the African American community.
Now that's true. We got some more facts. We got some more facts that we're going to deal out with on today. We're not only contracting and dying from COVID-19 at a higher rate, but this pandemic has led to higher levels of mental and higher levels of physical stress in our communities as well, which equates, as we all know, to depression, hopelessness, unemployment, financial strain, even eviction, not to mention fear and misconceptions. So cases continue to rapidly rise. And experts say, you know, some say that this thing may never go away. God forbid. But I know one thing, the rates will be going up these next few months because people are going to be so desperate to see their families. And, you know, they're going to want to travel. And, you know, with the holidays coming up and the New Year's, the numbers, as I mentioned before, are bound to go up. So these misconceptions are real, y'all. And a lot of it is misinformation that's contributing, I feel, to the fact that we as Black people do not want to get the vaccine, which, you know, at a lower rate than whites. But survivors, as you know, they're not really mentioned, you know, in the statistics. There's some of us that go in and may experience, you know, COVID and may have to stay at home and heal. But that's not mentioned. News media's whole purpose is to continue to evoke fear into the hearts and the minds of the United States. And then some of those, of course, they focus only on the deaths, you know. And so this bit of information don't really help. And we as a people, some of us, I'm one of them, I'm skeptical anyway. So it don't take a whole lot for me to, you know, to question things. So, for instance, when Hank Aaron died 17 days after getting the Moderna vaccine, this did not help our skepticism. I don't think we had even gotten a shot at that point. And a lot of us, as I said before, were more skeptic then. But let me say for the record, if you are vaccinated, and you are less likely to be hospitalized and even more less likely to die. So, you know, if you do get COVID-19, again, you're less likely to be hospitalized and die. Unvaccinated people were 11 times more likely to be hospitalized and die of COVID. So vaccines are 100 are not. Let me correct myself. They are not 100% effective. Not everyone who is inoculated will respond in the same way. We know that we're all different, so we are going to respond. Those who are elderly and whose immune systems are faulty or stressed by some other illness, underlying condition, of course, their system may not be as robust and they may not respond to the vaccine in comparison to a younger, more vibrant person. So the COVID-19 vaccines are highly effective, and some people will still be vulnerable to the virus. As you've heard, unfortunately, we get information overload, but we hear all the time that there are people that did get the vaccine and did unfortunately catch COVID, have recovered, have moved on. So some of the solutions, we're always talking about the issues and the problems, but today we felt like we need to give some solutions. Some are very obvious, some may not be. One is education. You hear about these basketball players that, they're saying when they're told, to get surgery or to take some medication to enhance their game or to, suppress whatever's going on in their body, they do it without question. But not only that, I'm suggesting that we educate ourselves, that we do some research. My doctor always comes up, I got this new medication. Well, hold on. Let me go my own research. You can tell me anything. And I know, you're a drug dealer. Okay, so your purpose is to just make that money. We all know their time in the pharmaceutical company. So with any system, any virus, any medication, what have you, do your own research. And it's more important also during this vaccine period, not just for your health, for your life, for your lifestyle, for your work, for your income, your socioeconomic status. Having that education and that degree helps, if I may say, to get you out of that lower paying job, which is part of our disparity, if I may say. So also we need to become more computer literate. There are times now you call up a customer service company, they tell you go online and do this and do that. They don't even want to offer you the customer service that you deserve because it's all now tied to technology. So if you don't have a computer or you're not literate, you're in trouble. And we've been in this technology vein for years, and our people, if I say we're slow or we're hesitant or we're just downright resistant to get connected to technology. And to be honest, that's the only way that we're going to be operating in the years to come. Another solution, better eating habits. Our underlying conditions are common amongst our people. The biggest one, obesity, lack of exercising, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, high blood pressure. We all need to watch, what we eat. Not that we're there, we're working on it. We still like to eat our little bacon. We're cutting back on the beef. We had a relative send us some Omaha steaks. Now, come on, y'all. I couldn't throw them away. Like I say, we are working towards it, continue to make progress towards it. But we as a people, we also need to watch our alcohol intake. We've stopped drinking for years now. Don't regret it, the impact that it was having on our bodies. Not only that, but cigarette smoking. And drug use. I know the weed and all that other stuff that's out there that's so prominent in our communities. We didn't bring it in. We don't have the means, the transportation to bring this stuff in, but somehow we get it heavily in our communities, and then we get so addicted, and then it's taking us out in droves. But lastly, and I can't stress this enough, I post this on Facebook often, if you happen to contract COVID-19, please research monoclonal antibodies. That's MONOCLONAL antibodies. Now, apparently, we've heard this over and over again. It is available and it is free. However, here's the catch. You have to know about it, ask about it, and to ask for it. So again, monoclonal antibodies. If you know of anybody, family members, that their conditions have not progressed to where they're on a ventilator, God forbid, tell them about that antibody. That is a cure, so to speak, for this virus.
Right.
If they get it in time. We've had a family member that has gotten that and is still here alive to tell us about it. So it does work. Now, with the structural conditions that cause this racial health disparities, imbalance, and inequalities, Black relative to whites are more likely to live in neighborhoods with a lack of healthy food options. As I said earlier, where I get my hair done, where I used to, there were 6 McDonald's on the one exit, of course, in the Black neighborhood. Don't get me wrong, eating fast food, I understand, we've been there. It's cheap, it's quick, but when you know better, you will strive harder and you can do better and you can proceed to succeed. I think that's so important. And there's no health food stores when you think about it. We don't have Trader Joe's and Sprouts and all of that in our neighborhoods. We barely have well or good fresh vegetables. I forget organic vegetables. Recreation facilities, those have now all closed up. Even the libraries that used to be a good safe haven for our children. Lighting and safe streets, they don't exist anymore. So these subpar neighborhoods are rooted in a historical legacy of redlining. But to get back to eating, it costs to eat better. I'm realizing that. And if you want to eat healthier, you're going to have to spend some money to do that. And it is a lifestyle change. It is not something that's going to happen overnight. Start somewhere. Now, back to McDonald's. We were talking about a family member who used to work at McDonald's that said they used to leave food, excuse me, sitting out and that food never spoiled. Now, that's scary. Like, what in the world is that food made out of? Now, I love the French fries. I'm telling y'all, the French fries. But what is this food made of that we're putting in bodies that never spoil? That's something to think about. But here's a quote from Ann Wigmore. She says, "The food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine, or the slowest form of poison." Listen to that. And listen to this quote. I don't know who said it, but it's powerful. "You are what you eat. So don't eat fast, cheap, easy, or fake." That hit me off. Sometimes I don't feel like cooking, but it's like, Lord, let me, if I had some salad, that would be quick and easy. Start to implement that now so your children and grandchildren will get used to the green leafy vegetables. So important. Here are some common sense precautions that we're hopefully already doing, but I'm running down anyway. Reiteration is good. So, washing your hands. Our grandson, when he comes in, he washes his hands. He counts to 20, and I'm scared, like, turn that water off, boy. You're going to hear him turn that water. But anyway, he's been drilled to count to 20. And a lot of times we're washing only the inside of our hands. You have to wash the outside of your hands too. There's germs on that side too. And then avoid touching your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. Wash the hands. We do that often unconsciously, but just to remind us. And then avoid close contact with people who are ill. We don't know what they may have. So in that case, you want to make your mask up. And, cover your mouth with tissue. I see a lot of people that, sneeze into their arm. Well, by the time you sneeze and all them droplets done travel, you need to cover, and preferably with a tissue versus your hand. You got to go and wash your hand. A lot of times when my husband and I go to events, we're fist bumping. Fist bump, elbow bump, no shaking hands, no hugging, or just wave from afar. I see you. How you doing? But wear a face mask, to cover all the way up. For those of us that wear glasses, you know how you got to do. You got to put the mask, put the glasses on top of the mask so your glasses don't fall up. But it just irks me when you see people wearing a mask down here or wearing a mask right here.
Right.
Useless. That's useless. And then they take it off to talk like you can't hear. I can hear you really well. So please don't do that. Please don't do that. Then clean and disinfect.
Right.
You know, we're just clean freaks. Fluoride wipes in our bestest of friends. So your knobs, your rails, the handles in your home, even the remote. You think about how many times you have that remote, you know, by the way, when you go in the hotels, do the same thing. Wipe it, sterilize. They say they do it. I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. You know, your cell phone, they say that is the germiest piece of equipment that we have. Your tablets,
Right.
your laptops, your writing utensils. Sometimes you use that pen over and over and over again. You need to clean it. You know, your water bottle. Come on, everything that you touch on a frequent basis needs to be clean. And don't forget about your mail.
Right.
Mail has traveled and passed through so many hands, and sanitize the mail. You know, open it up, even your packages. My husband is religious. Sanitize the box, take the box outside to the recycling bin. Don't bring the box in the house. Wipe down the contents. Bring that in. Everything else goes to the garbage. Goes to the garbage. But again, I can't stress it enough. We don't drink enough water as people.
Right.
You know, we don't balance our life. We're just go-getters. We go. We don't get enough rest. All that plays a factor, you know, into anything that comes against. Incorporate the quiet time, that time to reflect. I know I'm retired and we have more time, but you got to build in that time. And have some fun. You know, you always think you always got to spend some money. You got to learn how to create some fun right there in the house. You know, we enjoy our laughter every night. Steve Harvey and family. You know, do what you got to do. That don't cost a dime. So that cable bill, and we try to get rid of. Social distancing. You know, I can't share that. When we go into the grocery store, we're so focused on getting what we got to get out of there. You know, a lot of times I'm personal. I don't think about those things, but then I have to, remember, go back. Don't get so close to that person in line, or you pass them by, go to the next time and come around. You know, I'm just that pet peeve, if you will, that kind of stuff. But to be honest, with the holiday season coming up, make Amazon or your online shopping your best friend. If you start now and buy a gift every month, maybe by December 25th, you're done. It's all coming to your door. Wait a minute, I drifted away. Let me get back on focus here. But like I said, oftentimes we don't think about how close we're getting to people, and we slip up. So when you're out amongst people, when you're out shopping, whatever, you go into your appointments, when you come home, please make sure you just strip all the way down. Take all them clothes off and put on fresh clothes. Do it for your loved ones, for those in your house. You'd be surprised at the germs that you picked up on the way. Walk around in the house with your shoes on. Can you imagine you're walking around outside, bringing all that stuff behind? If you do, I sanitize the bottom of my shoes. Y'all can call me crazy if you want to. But we're doing it. We are being safe for our grandchildren, for our loved ones. But we were at an outdoor concert. I got to share this. And, we're all outdoor, all masked up. Excuse me. As a matter of fact, we had to show our vaccine or being tested within 48 and 72 hours. Now, once we got inside, the mask came off, was singing and talking. And other folks. Thank you, Reverend. Other folks mask them off. We were sitting up there and it was hot. But anyway, thank you, Brian. Better safe than sorry. Y'all look at that. That's it. Thank you so much for tuning in too. Be better safe than sorry. I tell you, when the mask came off, the folks was singing and salon was flying. I tell you, these glasses are blessed. That shields your eyes somewhat. It may not show on the side, but to be honest, my anxiety level went through the roof because people like me with moderately to severe compromised immune systems are more vulnerable to COVID-19.
Right.
And I fall, as I said, within this category. You may be asymptomatic, and I may be with an autoimmune system that easily contract, and you have no symptoms at all.
Right.
So I said all that to say, remember those of us, that may have that autoimmune disease or that compromised system. You may not be aware of, but just make it a habit. You know, we go to events and take their mask down, get in your face. I've been vaccinated. Well, you know what? I have too, but I don't need you to be in my face. That irritates me, and I'm gonna need you to back up. You know, so just be aware there are people who have low immune systems, cannot at all take the chance of you being in their presence, not 6 feet apart, passing along the journey. So I'm going to show you a few things that I think are very crucial to being masked up. Now, this is a better mask, but you guys see this mask? These are on Amazon.com. I mean, these are the masks that you should wear close to your face, okay? Because they shield you pretty well. And then these masks, they're double. This inside, that's the inside. Put this on top. That's right. I know it's hard to breathe. Double mask. That's the type of season that we're in right now. We're not falling prey in this season. That's what we're talking about, fall season, but we're not falling prey in this season. Double your mask. It's not that hard to breathe. Double your mask.
Okay.
And as I said, sometimes if you got to lose a little weight, that's what it's going to take. Double your mask. The other thing that we do, some of the items that we are so crucial. D3, very crucial. If you have a doctor that tells you take D3, look, she didn't have to tell me, we were already taking it. I was impressed with my doctor when she told me to start taking that. It's not too late. Here's another one, zinc. Yes, we like nature made. Zinc is good. Another immune booster. Vitamin C. I know we eat a lot of oranges and things of that nature, but we still consume this every day. Vitamin C, very good for your system. Here's another thing that you may not know about is Echinacea and Goldenseal. Very good immune system booster. We take this when we have the least bit of sniffle or a cold, we start popping it. We don't take it every day, but when we start to get sick, that's what we take. And guess what? For those with little ones, even if they have it for children. Very good stuff. And if you're like me, women that have a low iron and need a little energy booster, iron is good as well. So we just encourage you on today. You know, there are so many ways that we can boost our system. We're not doctors. We're just sharing what we do. And if it helps you, then God bless you. Yes, thank you, Brian D. Well, you on it today, Brian. Ginger is good. And believe me, I eat a lot of ginger. Why did I bring that out? Turmeric is good. Ginger is anti-inflammatory. And in a paste or a gel type of form. I eat it crystallized. I mean, there are some ginger. I love ginger. Thank you. Thank you for adding it. But again, these are suggestions. Don't take it as my word. Go and do your research. See what works for you. But do what you can do to boost your immune system so that we can fight off this problem. But, you know, last but not least, check on your loved ones. You know, there are some that may not have that connectivity with family. We're in some very serious times right now. So check on your loved ones and make sure that they're okay. See if they need it, especially the elderly. You know, they can't get out like they can get out. And then I recommend, now the holidays are coming up and we all want to travel, but stay put. You know, it's left up to me. I shut down all the airports, you know, so we can stop all of the traffic and the travel and bringing these viruses back and forth. Do a family Zoom. Those are wonderful. We need to schedule one. But and if you happen to go and be around a lot of people, which we have been lately, we always go and get tested just to be safe, just for peace of mind. And I love it now. They got the throat swab. They don't have to constantly do that. So that helps. But go test it. Just to make sure. You might want to wait a few days because you're not going to have symptoms showing up right after the event. But lastly, as I conclude, as children of God, we are bombarded. I mean, sometimes it's just too much. I have to turn the TV off, overload with news. Some negative, most of it negative, some positive. But nevertheless, information is knowledge, is power. But sometimes it just gets to be too much. So we as children of God, we have access to a peace that passes all understanding. It's not comprehensible. It's natural. In fact, it's supernatural. So a lot of times the fear and the doubt and the unbelief, it just overcomes us during this pandemic and life in general. So, and during this time, the enemy just wreaks havoc. If he can get fear, doubt, and unbelief in our heart, and the door is open for him to wreak total havoc in our lives. So we got to be connected to the power source. We need God more than ever before. We need him, in our lives. The word of God, flooding our souls each and every day. You need to eat the soul food. That's what I call it. Word of God is food for your soul food. So, be unmovable by circumstances of this world, because they're going to continue to happen. God said that's going to happen until he comes back. So don't be surprised in all the mess that's going on. As a matter of fact, just let it go right on over your head and keep moving. But we have to remember that our faith has to be unwavering in the one true and living, dependable God, and really rest on his word and grow in our faith, because that's the time that we're living in. Our faith is now on trial. We got to stand on the word of God. So we love you, and I pray that what I've said thus far, what's been said thus far, has been a blessing to you.
That was good. Great information, great suggestion, and also some good testimony as well for what we've been through. I want to thank our cousin Edie. She is wild regarding the statistics as well as all the important information. Our close friend Marshall back in California. Hey family, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. We just appreciate all of you for tuning in. And of course, BS3, Father, he's on here as well. Thank you for joining the son.
Yes.
We appreciate you all for coming to say good afternoon. And our cousin, Valeria Luce, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Valeria.
Great. Thank you all. So we got some good information. And we got some great suggestions and also some common practices that we have to implement into our daily lives.
Yes.
And I'm going to just close with some additional information regarding where we are as people and things that we can overcome. But, they always say that education is knowledge. And information is knowledge. So once we realize where we are, we can understand where we have to go. Right. And right now, Irene mentioned redlining. My wife mentioned redlining. Well, the homeownership lies at the heart of the American dream, representing success, opportunity, and wealth. And she talks about job opportunities, career opportunities. However, for many of the citizens in the United States of America, this dream is deferred. For much of the 20th century, the devaluing of Black lives led to segregation and racist federal housing policy through redlining that shut out chances for Black people to purchase home and build wealth make it more difficult to start and invest in businesses
Right.
and even afford college tuition. But still, homeownership remains the beacon of hope for all people to gain access to the middle class, and things have to improve a lot. They have improved a lot over the years. We can attest to that because we're testimony that things have improved over the years, especially like my wife mentioned for Black entertainers and Black athletes, and also Black business professionals. But through homeownership, rates still vary considerably between whites and people of color. It's going to be real because it's typical that the largest asset among all people who hold it if they value the property fairly, regardless of the color of the owner. But there have been reported cases where Black owners' property have been valued by appraisers in probably white neighborhoods. And now that rent prices is rising, going through the roof, and available properties are so scarce, it's leaving a lot of Black people of color, homeless because they can't afford it. Additionally, Blacks are most likely to live in densely populated areas, further heighten their potential contact with other people. We talk about social distancing, but they represent about 1/4 of all public transit users. Blacks are also likely to have equitable health care access, meaning hospitals are farther away and pharmacies are subpar,
Right.
leading to more days waiting for urgent care prescriptions and receiving less quality care while in the hospital. You know, some health problems in the Black community manifest not only because some people do not take care of them, like we mentioned, but because healthcare resources are criminally inadequate in the neighborhoods. Not to mention the increase in the homicide rate of 30% in the United States, and the increase in domestic violence in the Black community, and the increase of the incarcerated getting COVID. Regarding work, Blacks are more likely to be a part of the new COVID essential workforce. Blacks represent nearly 30% of bus drivers, nearly 20% of food service workers, janitors, cashiers, and stockers, with all of the high percentage of Hispanics as well. So in a highly contagious pandemic like COVID-19, Black and brown workers, and consequently their families, are overexposed in this regard. So staying home during quarantine is a privilege because some folks can't afford to stay home. So humanizing these dire statistics are people like Jason Hargrove. Jason Hargrove, a bus driver in Detroit, he posted a viral video stating that a passenger coughed repeatedly on the bus without covering her mouth. Like I just mentioned, it's better to cover your mouth with a Kleenex while you're coughing. But she didn't cover her mouth. As well as 27-year-old lady Jordan, a grocery store worker in Largo, Maryland, who wanted to make sure people had essentials for the quarantine. You know, both died from the coronavirus. There is also an important intersectional dimension that I like to combine ends of race and gender, similar to health disparities. More broadly, men seem more likely than women to die from COVID-19. But women are the ones who mostly work in service jobs. They're also more likely to do the caregiving and the housework in household. Climate also creates challenges in the Black community. But dominantly Black neighborhoods are more likely to be exposed to pollutants and toxins. You simply have to look at the Flint to Detroit corridor where the kids and the families are overexposed to lead in the water.
Right.
Many have developed Legionnaire's disease, other extreme health complications that's deteriorating to their health. However, it's not just in Flint, my brothers and sisters. In Baltimore, Baltimore has a black population of over 6%. Children's lead level are over double the recommended rate.
Wow.
Lead exposure not only causes physical health issues, but it harms cognitive development, rational decision making, and academic test scores. We talked about education, how key it is, and how important it is to get an education. But some urban developments, urban neighborhoods, these young kids are fighting a battle that's twice as hard as living in the suburb because of the conditions that they're living in. So we just want to be upfront about what our people are feeling. The United States pays about $15 million annually to deal with lead poisoning cases. 15 million. Man, if lead problems did not exist in places like Baltimore and Flint, those funds were used to improve schools, neighborhoods, infrastructure, and health resources, which helps solve some of the gridlock that we're experiencing right now among the senators that passed the current bill in the House of Representatives.
Right.
Now, I just want to be frank. In this situation we're dealing with, is it neglect? Is it intentional? Or is it coincidental? But regardless of the purpose, it is disproportionately affecting Black people in a negative way.
Exactly.
And of course, the criminalization. Criminalization plays a role in racial health disparities. Black men being stopped in stores by police for wearing personal protective equipment, PPE. Though mask should be a signal for health precautions,
right,
it signals potential criminal behavior if a Black person is wearing it, particularly if they are male. A Baltimore police sergeant was reported under investigation after he was recorded openly coughing at Black residents while patrolling through a public housing complex.
Wow.
In addition to structural conditions, micro-level factors shape racial health disparities, include racial bias in medical treatment and the racial empathy gap, in perceived pain tolerance, in patients, physicians' interaction. Black patients are mostly spoken to rather than listened to. These experiences, as well as comments from French doctors stating the potential COVID-19 vaccine should be tested on poor Africans. Similar to AIDS, drugs were tested on prostitutes. What this does is revive collective memories of medical mistrust and future enhanced racial health disparities. The United States and Europe have a long and torrid colonial legacy of using Black bodies as scientific and medical guinea pigs rather than treating them as human beings. The infamous Tuskegee syphilis study and the legacy of Henry Lax come to mind, which is the HeLa cells. In 1951, Henrietta Lacks was diagnosed with terminal cervical cancer. She was treated at Johns Hopkins University, where a doctor named George Gay snipped cells from her cervix without telling her. Gay discovered that Lax cells could not only be kept alive, but would also grow indefinitely. For the past 60 years, Lax cells have been cultured and used in experiments ranging from determining the long-term effects of radiation to testing the live polio vaccine.
Mm-mm-mm.
Sales commercialized and have generated millions of dollars in profit for the medical researchers who patent her tissues. Black's family, however, didn't know the cell culture exists until more than 20 years after her death. This is what we have experienced. I want to shout out to our daughter, Camellia, the educator in the family, who taught on this subject and advised us that Johns Hopkins is notorious for using Black people as guinea pigs.
Mm-hmm.
They're suddenly and currently using redevelopment tactics as well as gentrifying the Black projects in Baltimore for university housing. We also have this episode in our hometown at the North Rhine University, not to mention the discriminatory tactics that they use to steal Dr. John Drew open heart surgery technique. So before I wrap up, let me just say, our brother Brian Williams said, hey family, finally filed a lawsuit against John Hopkins last week. Wow.
The family did.
The family did.
Good.
Finally, after all of these years, not having access to millions of dollars that was accumulated
and it should be
on their loved one. Wow.
That's a dog.
So I know, as I close, that we're hesitant. And Irene, my wife, gave you the rundown on the importance of being vaccinated. But I just want to share this with you. This is why Black people are hesitant to get vaccinated, because of the mistrust.
That's right.
That has been going on for years.
Can't blame them.
I don't know if you know, we got to be educated. We got to educate ourselves. Because a Black woman named Kismika Corbett, PhD, invented the vaccine that God created for her to invent. God created her for that purpose, brothers and sisters. Dr. Corbett is among the National Institute of Health scientists who produce Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. An African-American woman who has been praised by top infectious disease experts for her role in the vaccine development. So we got to educate ourselves. And we need to be aware of what to do and what not to do. And we thank you for this opportunity to share with you not only some statistics and not only some history, but also some advice.
Yes. And
we pray that you take it. Because this is what God said in Genesis 1:27 and 28. He said, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. So God created us for this purpose. And this is what I want to close with. Mark 13:18-20. This is from the NIV. He said, and pray that your flight will not be in winter, for there will be great anguish in those days at any time since God created the world. And it will never be so great again. In fact, unless the Lord shortens that time of calamity, not a single person will survive. But for the sake of his chosen ones, he has shortened, thank you, Lord, those days. So we have a flag on our porch, on our front porch, that states, fall for Jesus. He never leaves. I bless you, and thank you for joining.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend. No, we're done.
Okay.
Be blessed.
Be
Thank you
blessed.
all
Be blessed.
for tuning in. God bless you.
God bless you. Have a great week. Love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.